It's Friday, and it is day 4 of Liptember. I have actually misplaced most of my lipsticks, which is fun. I'm really excited about it. But this one I could find is like a red with gold glitter, so I did gold glitter eyes as well. Please excuse whatever the fuck that is. I think a rat did it. But I don't remember, and I don't know how I don't remember getting scratched on my face. So today I thought I would talk about kind of my history with mental health. I didn't really know that there was anything wrong with my situation, I guess, until I got to uni or finished high school-ish. I actually spoke to a friend and she confided in me that she was struggling with anxiety through year 12. And then I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I kind of thought about it some more. I was like, yeah, maybe I do too. So it kind of started the cogs turning for me a little bit. When I started uni, I was really stressed out and it was like a massive transition. I started a Bachelor of Arts and I was studying history and film, which is exactly what I wanted to be doing. But still, I was extremely stressed out. So I went to my GP and told him how I was feeling and said that I wanted to try some therapy. So he recommended a psychologist to me. So then I started seeing her. I'm just gonna call her Elle. I've been seeing her since 2014. Therapy was going well. It was helping me, but I kind of reached a point where I was using all the skills that I had been learning and my anxiety levels were still pretty high. So I was thinking, I need something more. So I went back to my GP again, which is my doctor, just a general practitioner. And I said, I'd like to try medication. So in 2015, I started medication. I started with an SSRI. The medication I was taking was called Zoloft. I was on that for 2 weeks and quickly spiraled quite badly. So I went back to my GP and said, this is terrible, get me off it. Zoloft wasn't right for me. It did not work for me, but for some people it works really well. So unfortunately, you just have to try and find out. So I really strongly recommend speak to your doctor. If you're having side effects, definitely go speak to your doctor. Don't just stop taking your medication. Go speak to your doctor about it and they can help you sort it out safely, okay? Trust me, you don't want to fuck with this medication. After about 2 weeks, I got off that medication and I started Pristiq. And that is an NSRI and it's a different type of antidepressant, but it's still an antidepressant. I think it's more geared towards depression than anxiety is kind of how he explained it to me. I basically took that for about 5 years. My dosages went up and down as my kind of mental health went up and down. If I needed more, I'd go speak to my doctor and we'd do a little bit increase. And when I was feeling better, we'd do a little bit of a decrease. It's a trial and error process with medication, unfortunately. But you have to keep trying because something will work. You just have to find it. It can take a while. When I was in my first full-time job at a call center and it was really high pressure and I was really stressed out and I was crying in the bathrooms all the time, and I decided that I needed to change my medication and I needed to do it now. I made the mistake of going to my GP and saying, I want to get off this now. And he said, don't you want to call the psychiatrist and see what she has to say? I was like, nah, just do it. I just want to get off these medication. And that was a massive mistake. I should have gone to my psychiatrist and I should have spoken to her about it and done it in a much safer way, because I came off a really high dosage really quickly and I was really sick for about 2 months because of it. So this is why I put my warning up. Do not stop abruptly taking any kind of psychological medication. Always speak to your doctor. When possible, speak to a psychiatrist. When you have long-term issues like I do, you need a psychiatrist, like you just do. Doctors exist for their fields of expertise, and mine is a psychiatric doctor, so I need one. I quit my job in May of 2019 because my depression was so bad. It was the worst it had ever been. I just could not cope at all. So I checked into hospital and I was really petrified. I was so anxious about that. I was really nervous that it was going to be, I don't know, just so unfamiliar. You have no idea what to expect. Totally unfamiliar place, unfamiliar people, what's going to happen, what's it going to be like. Fortunately, I'm lucky enough to be able to have private health insurance, so I was able to go to a really nice private hospital. It's got a garden, it's got art therapy, the food's great, you get a private room, private bathroom, there's really nice communal areas, and once I got there and kind of started to feel a little bit more comfortable, that was when I met Yelka, and she just immediately welcomed me and made me feel totally at home and showed me around everywhere, and she knew everybody's name. She introduced me to the cleaning staff and the cooks and the nurses, and she just knew everybody. Now, I'm not a smoker, but she was, and so she would invite me to come sit with her while she smoked a cigarette, so I'd say yes, and we would go and sit out in the smoking area. Well, here's the secret to psych hospitals. The smoking area is the social hub, always. I've heard this from people who've attended other hospitals as well. Like, that's it. The smoking area. That's, if you need friends, go to the smokers area. So I hung out there with Yelka and she would introduce me to every person who came through. She really made that whole experience a lot better for me. And then when I went back in September for my TMS treatment, she was also there as well. So I got to spend a lot of my time there with her. The TMS really, really helped me. I'll do a separate video where I talk about that. I don't want this video to go on too long. Through my TMS, I did the initial stay in September, and I also came back at like 6 to 8 week intervals. I spent most of Liptember last year in hospital, which was interesting, and it was interesting to be able to share that with people, a kind of window into what it's like to receive that type of care. TMS massively changed my life. All I have to do is sit in a chair with this electromagnet sitting on my head, and then it does its thing and boom. I literally don't understand the science of it. I'm gonna have to look it up so that I can explain it. Your brain is electricity, it's an electromagnet, bada bing bada boom, the depression is better. I don't know what to tell you, man. That's just how it's worked for me. I went from being depressed almost every single day to being depressed maybe a couple days a month, and it was never as intense after the TMS. Even when I've been quite a few weeks between sessions, I still feel fine for the most part. Like, obviously I go up and down, I'm still a person, but it's not to the extremes that it used to be. It used to be that I would hit really hard, severe depression and I'd be stuck there for a couple of days. It's rough. And then I would kind of come out a little bit, but still be fairly depressed. So it was kind of like up and down in the region of bad. And then after the TMS, it was like, oh, I get to be okay now and I get to feel good. And then I get to, sometimes I feel bad because people feel bad. And then I get to feel normal again. And I had like culture shock in my brain from being able to feel normal again. Like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand. I don't actively feel terrible. What the fuck? It was very confusing and exciting. So yeah, I don't know. I guess since then, basically 2020 has been me trying to rebuild from there, because it kind of felt like I was coming back at square one, but I wasn't, because I've come a lot further than that. I still take my medication and I still see my psychologist, Elle, and my psychiatrist is still working with me for my hospital things, but I only have to go to hospital now when I get my TMS treatments. I had to delay my recent one because it was just after I'd found out about Yelka passing away, so it was just all too much too soon. But I'm gonna go back probably next month, so it'll work out. And in the meantime, I'm doing okay. I'm snuggling my rats and I'm hanging out with my partner and I'm doing what I can. Yeah, I guess that's kind of like my history with my mental health. If you would like to donate to support my Liptember campaign, where I'm wearing lipstick in September to raise money and awareness for women's mental health, the money raised goes to the Royal Women's Hospital, Lifeline, an organisation called Batir. I don't quite know what they do. I want to look it up. I want to make a video about who the beneficiaries are, because that's important, right? So, if you want to donate to my Liptember in memory of my beautiful friend Yelka, please go to liptember.com.au/melody-monroe. See ya.